Hi, call to order the regular meeting of the Mount Lebanon Board of School Directors. It's Monday, May 20th at 7:30 PM. We're present in room D205 of the Mount Lebanon High School, and participation is also available via Zoom. We are going to kick off with some special guests to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We have members of Jefferson Elementary School JOGS, JES JOGS, which stands for Journey of Growing Self-Awareness, and also Sweet Sweatbands, focuses on a supportive and inclusive environment where all students feel encouraged to participate and challenge themselves by combining fitness activities with character-building lessons. JES JOGS is designed to help students develop not only physical fitness, but also important life skills such as self-awareness, respect, and perseverance. Joining us tonight from JES JOGS are participants Josephine Barton, Rowan Campbell, Anna Chambers, Mara George, Michael Kiley, Nolan Reed, August Tata, Eliana Trappel, and Piper Wilson with their principal, Mr. Brett Bielowitz. We can all rise and join them in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all.
So this was just a small sampling of our JES joggers. We had a total of 48 this year in our first upcoming year. But Miss Anna Chambers, fourth grader at Jefferson Elementary, is going to say a few words about JES jogs.
Thank you.
Over the last 8 weeks, students in 3rd to 5th grades have participated in the first ever JES Jogs program at Jefferson Elementary. Each week, we focus on character building and fitness goals. Our final event, a 2-mile True Color Run, will take place this Friday. The True Color Run is not just about running, it's about celebrating the important values we've learned, including belonging, perseverance, teamwork, respect, responsibility, integrity, and confidence. We look forward to making this program a tradition at Jefferson, continuing to inspire runners and good kids.
You guys gonna jog out of here?
Saving all our energy for tomorrow.
All right. Thank you all. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable? Here. Mrs. Burdick?
Here.
Ms. Fleischer?
Here.
Mrs. Gelman?
Here.
Mrs. Gensel?
Here.
Ms. Guth?
Here.
Mr. Hoffman?
Here.
And Mrs. Johnson?
Here.
Mr. Wyland?
Here.
All members present.
Thank you. I resolve that the board approves the minutes of the discussion meeting held on April 8th, 2024, and the regular meeting held on April 15th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstention? Okay, thank you. We are moving on to our reports for this evening. Our first reports are from the Mount Lebanon High School. The class of 2025's newly elected officers are going to introduce themselves and share some of their goals.
Hello, my name is Maya Golden, and this is Michael Malone, and we are the senior class presidents on the Senior Executive Council for the 2023-2024 school year. We have had a great last month and a half of school and wanted to share a few things. First, we selected our commencement speaker for this year. As you know, any senior could submit a speech, and we had 17 submissions this year. They were first read and ranked anonymously, and then 5 finalists were invited to give an oral presentation in front of administrators, faculty, and the Senior Executive Council. Our finalists were Julia Descalzi, Adam Ash, August Kohler, Ava Gamba, and Tiba Latif, and Julia Descalzi was selected to give the class of 2024 commencement address. Congratulations to Julia. So many other events have also taken place. The musical performances, percussion concerts, and art show all showcase the incredible diversity of talent, dedication, and hard work within our student body. Congratulations to all artists, performers, faculty, and staff. We also want to say a big thank you to all of the parents who have volunteered to make these events happen so successfully. The class of 2025 Senior Executive Council also took place toward the end of April, and we will share more on that in a minute.
After 2 long weeks of AP testing, the stress is finally over as we enter our last few weeks of school. Our senior class is now beginning their pre-graduation festivities. Today, the senior class had their next steps day, where every senior wore a t-shirt to show where they will be attending school next year or representing their post-graduation plans. A map created by the Senior Executive Council has also been displayed to the school, pinpointing every location of where students will be next year, spanning across the whole world. Tomorrow, the seniors will also attend the senior reception with their families and talk to faculty and administration, as it is their last days at the high school. Prom will then follow on May 30th with a new format of an earlier start time at 7 p.m., and this year's theme is 24 karat gold.
Moving forward to the week of graduation, on June 3rd, the senior class will be visiting their elementary schools and walking through the buildings to celebrate their graduation and achievements with both their elementary teachers and classmates. Then on June 5th, the seniors will have their picnic before graduation rehearsal as they prepare to graduate on June 6th.
Finally, this afternoon, we held our transfer of office ceremony, where the current class officers were honored for our service, and the class of 2025 officers took their oath of office and will lead the student body over the next year. Tonight, we are pleased to introduce you to those officers.
First, we want to say thank you to the school board and the community for sharing this year and supporting us along the way. We've enjoyed giving you monthly updates, and we were sure that the next class will continue to do great things that contribute to the mission of Mount Lebanon to give each student the best possible education. Thank you for your time.
We will now invite the class of 2025 Senior Executive Council to introduce themselves and their positions.
Hi, my name is Rania Alkafaji, and I'm one of the co-treasurers.
Hi, my name is Maria Perkitko, and I'm the other co-treasurer.
Hi, my name's Sophia Antonelli, and I'm a co-secretary.
Hi, my name's Claire Bruno, and I'm a co-secretary as well.
Hi, my name is Maximilian Valderrama, and I'm a co-vice president.
Hi, my name is Kate Yang, and I'm a co-president.
Hi, my name is Sophie Chimburidze, and I'm a co-president as well. And Joelle Kanji could not make it today, but she's our other vice president. She could not make it today because of lacrosse whoop-deals, and our advisor is Mr. Johnson.
And we are the class of 2025 Senior Executive Council, and we are honored and excited to serve in this position, and we are super excited to share this journey with you guys next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to seeing a lot of you next year. Thank you and congratulations to the new officers. We look forward to seeing you a lot next year. Right, it's now time for the board president's report. The Mount Lebanon School Board instituted the Extra Mile Award to recognize district staff members who demonstrate exceptional service to our students while exhibiting behavior that encourages others to follow their lead. This evening, it is my pleasure to welcome and recognize Mr. Pierce Cook for the Extra Mile Award. Mr. Cook. Enough said, I guess. But I'll say some more. Mr. Cook was nominated by a group of 8th grade Mellon Orchestra students. I believe 14 or 15 8th graders submitted a joint nomination. In their nomination, students stated, Mr. Cook has been a light in our lives since we first came to Mellon in 6th grade, constantly proving his utmost passion for teaching by creating a friendly and beneficial environment for his students. His class is always a break in the hectic atmosphere of middle school, and his humor and kindness are just a few of the reasons he is one of our favorite teachers at Mellon. All of us have seen massive improvement with our respective instruments, and it's all thanks to him. Now that the end of our middle school careers is approaching, we all wanted to give Mr. Cook one last gift to show him how much he means to us. I do know that one of his other gifts was a chef's hat, which he apparently opted not to wear this evening. But I would like to invite Mr. Cook up to receive the award.
Yes.
All right, a few highlights from this month's inclusivity calendar. May is Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, which celebrates the contributions that generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have made to American history, society, and culture. In May, we also recognize Mental Health Awareness Month, or Mental Health Month. This aims to raise awareness and educate the public about mental illnesses and reduce the stigma that surrounds mental illnesses. And with Memorial Day on the horizon, we honor and remember the brave men and women who've served our country. Your sacrifice and dedication to protecting our freedom will never be forgotten, and thank you for your service. Some highlights from district activities. For the first time in the Mount Lebanon School District's history, all 10 schools have earned accreditation by the Middle States Association Commissions on Elementary and Secondary Schools, a worldwide leader in accreditation and continuous school improvement. The accreditation will last through the 2030-31 school year. I'd like to thank Dr. Davis for leading this effort and the many teachers, administrators, parent volunteers, and other members of the school community who aided in the effort. The Mount Lebanon School District Winter Guard teams competed at the Atlantic Coast Championships in Wildwood, New Jersey. Both the blue and gold guards found success, with our varsity team receiving a silver medal and the highest score that a Mount Lebanon team has ever earned in competition since the start of the program. Senior Zaire Dinkins was selected to receive a scholarship. We also invite the community to join Lebo United and Eradicate Hate Global Summit tomorrow, on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, at 6:30 p.m. for a community response through film event, Repairing the World, Stories from the Tree of Life. After a short film, a panel discussion will feature Tree of Life survivors, community advocates, and Mount Lebanon students. A Q&A session will follow. And before bidding farewell to the Mount Lebanon school districts, graduates from the class of 2024 will have an opportunity to revisit where their journey in the school district began, our elementary schools. On Monday, June 3rd, seniors will take a walk down memory lane through the halls of each elementary school while receiving a round of applause from former teachers and current students as part of a senior send-off. We're excited to start this new tradition here in Mount Lebanon. Finally, some updates on the budget. Tonight's agenda includes a vote on a suite of resolutions adopting the 2024-2025 budget. The goal of the board for this year's budget was to adopt a balanced budget without the use of fund balance that centers and meets the needs of our students and minimizes the impact of any necessary budget reductions on student experience while retaining our world-class workforce. I'm pleased to report that our final budget achieves all of these goals, and that the operational improvements adopted as part of this year's budgeting process lay a solid foundation for financial sustainability moving forward. Thank you once again to Dr. Fries and the administration for their diligent, thoughtful, and difficult work, to the budget managers and employee groups across the district for their collaboration and creativity, and to my colleagues on the board for their work over the past several months to ensure that we adhered to our student-centered budget goals and commitments to transparency and fiscal responsibility throughout this process. And that concludes my report. Next up on the agenda, we have the superintendent report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fleischer.
Our report this evening centers mostly on our retirees, and you'll see that many of them are in the audience with us this evening. I am going to begin with those that are present, and then I'm also going to provide an overview of those who are not here with us this evening, but we'd still like to recognize them. First person that we're going to recognize tonight is Timothy Herzog. Mr. Herzog, if you want to stand up so that we can see you. Is he here? No?
In the hall.
Okay. No, not out there? Well, I'm still going to read his bio now. Timothy Herzog was hired as a building and grounds maintenance and security worker at the high school in August of 1999 and transferred to the role of custodian shortly after in November of 1999. Not long after serving as a substitute head custodian at Howell during the 2005-2006 school year, Tim was promoted to the position of head custodian at the Washington Elementary and Mellon Middle School complex in September of 2006. He moved to the Markham head custodian position in August of 2007, where he remained until his retirement in March of 2024. Tim continues to serve the students of the district as a behind-the-wheel driver's education instructor for the district's adult education program. He has served 24.5 years with the Mount Lebanon School District. Please join me in congratulating him on his retirement. The second individual that we're going to recognize tonight is Luis Marino. Luis Marino joined the Mount Lebanon School District as a permanent substitute instrumental teacher, band teacher during the 1989-1990 school year, working at Washington, Foster, and Hoover Elementary Schools. She continued in that role during the 1990-1991 school year and was awarded the contract position for the same assignment beginning with the 1991-1992 school year. Louise transferred to Mellon Middle School team in 1998, where she continues until her retirement at the end of the current school year. She has served this district for 34.75 years. Thank you for your service. The next person that we will recognize is Stephanie Ross. Stephanie?
She's not.
Stephanie Ross joined the Mount Lebanon School District as a permanent substitute English teacher at the junior high school for the 1991-1992 school year. She remained in that role through the 1992-1993 school year until she was awarded a contract English teacher position at the junior high school beginning with the 1993-1994 school year. She continues to support the 8th grade students at Jefferson Middle School until her retirement at the end of this year. She has served this district for 32.75 years. Please join me in congratulating her. The next individual that we are going to recognize is Kimberly Salvador. Kimberly here? Kimberly was hired by the Mount Lebanon School District as a full-time contract special education teacher at Jefferson Elementary School during the 1995-1996 school year. She transferred to a special education assignment at Markham Elementary School at the start of the 1999-2000 school year, then returned to Jefferson as the instructional support teacher during the 2003-2004 school year. Kim retires from her service as an IST teacher at the end of this school year. She has served our district for 28.75 years. Please join me in congratulating.
I have 2 weddings. Mine is July and September, 2 months apart.
I really need a second job as a barista at Starbucks, but thank you, Sue Ward, for everything that you've done for the district. And I just want to say that, I'm sorry, I just want to say my kids went through the system. I love Mount Lebanon. I'm blessed. I'm so blessed to have this job. And I will miss all the kids. That's going to be really hard.
Deep breaths.
I know, Kim, I'm going to cry instead of reading the next person. Our next individual that we're recognizing tonight is Diane Slate. Diane became a member of the Mount Lebanon School District Food Services Department in September of 2002 as a substitute cafeteria worker. In February of 2003, Diane was hired to a permanent position as a general cafeteria worker at the high school. She transferred to a Mellon Middle School assignment in March of 2006 and returned to the high school in September of 2009. Diane was promoted to the position of cook at the start of the 2015-2016 school year. She worked at the high school in this role for 5.5 years before transferring to the cook assignment at Mellon Middle School in January of 2021. Diane will retire after more than 20 years with the food services team in June of 2024. She has a total combined number of years as 21.75. Thank you so much for your service. Next up, we have Gerard Slate. You may recognize that last name. Gerard began his employment in the Mount Lebanon School District as a substitute cafeteria worker in October of 2020. He was soon after promoted to a permanent position as a general cafeteria worker at Jefferson Middle School in November of 2020, where he remained until his retirement during the October of 2023. He served our district for 3 years. Please join me in congratulating him. The next individual that we will recognize this evening is Christian Stein. Mr. Stein was first employed by the Mount Lebanon School District in the fall of 1989 as a long-term substitute German teacher at the high school. After a relocation, Chris returned to the district as a full-time contract German teacher at the high school, beginning with the 1993-1994 school year. Chris has taught German and Spanish during his long tenure with the district as a high school world languages educator and will retire at the conclusion of the 2023-2024 school year. He has 30.75 years that he's served us here in the district. Please join me in congratulating. We do have several individuals who couldn't join us this evening, but we still want to recognize them. The first is Peter DiNardo, who joined the Mount Lebanon School District as a day-to-day substitute teacher during the 1996-1997 school year and served as a single semester permanent substitute social studies teacher at the high school during the 1997-1998 school year. Pete accepted a full-time contract social studies teacher position at the high school beginning with the 1998-1999 school year. He will retire from this district with many years of service as a high school social studies educator at the end of this school year. Mr. DiNardo has served this district for 26.75 years. Please join me in congratulating him on his retirement. The next individual that we will recognize is Paula Hogan Miller, who was hired by the district as a full-time permanent substitute kindergarten teacher at Hoover Elementary for the 1984-1985 school year. She continued as a permanent substitute kindergarten teacher at Hoover during the following year, accepting the contract position beginning with the 1986-1987 school year. Paula will retire from her long tenure as a kindergarten teacher serving the Hoover community at the end of this school year. She has served our district for 39.75 years. Please join me in congratulating her. The next individual that we will recognize tonight is Mary Jo Asphalt, who was hired as a part-time 10-month clerk in the athletic office at Mount Lebanon High School at the end of August of 1999. She accepted the 12-month athletic office secretary position in February of 2015 and continued in that role supporting the athletic department operations, staff, and students until her retirement in September of 2023. She served our district for 24 years. Please congratulate, along with me, Mary Jo. The next individual that we'll recognize this evening is Gloria Kaminsky, who joined the Mount Lebanon School District in April of 2003 as a clerical substitute. At the start of the 2005-2006 school year, Gloria was hired as the attendance office clerk at the high school, where she also provided support during the summer months for summer school programming. Gloria continued as a member of the high school's clerical support team through her retirement in October of 2023. She served our district for 20.25 years. Please join me in congratulating her. The next individual we will recognize is Paula McCarty. She served in the Mount Lebanon School District as a day-to-day substitute health services aide beginning in April of 2002. After a long-term substitute health services aide placement at Jefferson Middle School during the 2002-2003 school year, Paula accepted the permanent part-time position in the Jefferson Middle School Health Office at the start of the 2003-2004 school year, before transferring to our full-time personal care assistant position at Foster and Jefferson Elementary Schools in November of 2003. Paula was assigned to Washington Elementary School at the beginning of the 2005-2006 school year, where she became a special education classroom aide in 2009 and remained through her retirement at the beginning of January of 2024. She served our district for 21.75 years. Please join me in congratulating her. Next, we will recognize Linda Mucalo, who was hired by the Mount Lebanon School District in December of 2006 as a clerical substitute. Linda became a part-time personal care assistant at Foster Elementary School in January of 2008 and accepted a full-time assignment beginning the following school year. Linda served the special education program and Foster school community until her retirement in September of 2023. She retired with 16.75 years of service here at Mount Lebanon. Please join me in congratulating her on her retirement. Next, we have Lynn Proy, who joined the Mount Lebanon School District staff as a general cafeteria worker in October of 1990. Lynn became a part-time special education classroom aide at the junior-senior high school at the beginning of the 1992-1993 school year, where she also provided clerical support in the assistant principal's office. Lynn joined the finance office in July of 1997 as a 12-month secretary and later became the payroll administrative assistant in July of 2000. She transferred to the role of administrative assistant to the assistant superintendents in July of 2013, where she remained until her retirement at the end of December 2023. Lynn served our district for 33.25 years. Please join me in congratulating her. Next up, we have Dale Smale, who was hired as a substitute custodian in the Mount Lebanon School District in September of 1993. He accepted a part-time contract custodian position working at Jefferson and Markham Elementary Schools in October of 1995. Soon after, in January of 1996, Dale accepted a full-time position traveling between Washington Elementary and the high school. In August of 2007, he was promoted to the role of head custodian at Washington Elementary School. Dale transferred to Howell Elementary in August of 2020, where he remained in service to the facilities team until his retirement in October of 2023. He served our district for 30 years. Please join me in congratulating him. Our final retiree that we'll honor tonight is Linda Stammer. who joined the Mount Lebanon School District Food Services Department as a general cafeteria worker in March of 2021. During her 2 years with the district, she supported the department in multiple buildings, including the high school, Jefferson Middle School, and Jefferson and Foster Elementary Schools. Linda retired from the food services team in November of 2023. She had 2.5 years with the Mount Lebanon School District. Please join me in thanking her. So we did have one last-minute ad for retirees that we put on the personnel report just a little bit before we came in here today, and that is Francine McCain. She has served our school district for 18 years. She started as a personal care assistant at Lincoln Elementary. She was a classroom aide in the life skills support classrooms at Washington Elementary, and most recently, she has served in the accounts receivable secretary in the finance office. Please join me in congratulating her on her retirement. I think of particular note is that for our professional certificated staff, we have a total of 193.5 years of combined experience within these retirees. And to do the quick math, and add Francine for the support staff, we have about 209 years of combined service for our support staff, which is pretty incredible. All of them will be missed very, very much, but of course, they're always welcome to come back and see us or substitute or just to visit. I'm going to ask everyone that's in attendance that is a retiree to come up to have a picture here. And if the school board wants to stand in the background so that we can capture all of you too, that would be great.
Don't be shy.
That's not the right.
Okay. Does that conclude? Oh, you've got more.
Yeah, I got more. Where are the slides in here? Mr. Stankel, can you refresh the slide deck because it's not forwarding? Okay. The final part of my presentation this evening is related to our budget. At last week's meeting, we shared that the district took steps to balance the budget without utilizing fund balance or furloughing staff. Just as a reminder to the community, this slide here, which was shared last week, provides our updated final revenues for the school year. As was noted last week, the numbers in this particular category have stayed pretty consistent. The only thing that has changed is we've verified the amounts of the majority of the revenues. The only one that is still not verified is the one related to state revenues because they still need to vote on that at the state level. As of today, with the presentation of the final budget, we have a revenue of $122.2 million as our projected revenues. This is also a reminder to the public that for these final revenues, the impact on taxpayers, the budget includes a proposed tax increase of the Act 1 index at 6.2%, or 1.7105 mils, or $4.2 million. This chart here gives a breakdown of the assessed value, the millage increase, and what it would look like for a tax increase per month and a tax increase per year. The next area is the updated final expenditures for the school year. When we met in April, we projected to have about a $2.5 million deficit. With further reductions over the course of the last month, we have been able to present a final budget which is balanced at $122.2 million. This slide here talks about our multi-year financial projections. It talks about our current year, where we are projected to have a deficit of $1.1 million. It has our 2024-2025 final budget that is proposed to the board for consideration this evening that does not use any surplus or any fund balance to balance our budget. And then it has us in 2026, 2027, 2028 with the revenue assumptions of a real estate tax increase to index, state revenue increase of 1.5%, earned income tax growth of 1.5%, and other revenues remaining stagnant. And then in terms of expenditures, it has us with the salaries increasing at about 2.75% per year, health care increases by 7%, and all other appropriations increasing by 1.5%, except for the debt service that is flat. Our goal is by the time we finish out the 2028 school year, that we will have a fund balance of approximately $11.6 million, which will help us to have a more sustainable future for our financial picture. And that is all the information that I have for this evening in my report.
Thank you, Dr. Freeze. We're now at agenda item D, which is for board reports. Policy Committee, Ms. Guth.
The Policy Committee did not meet this month.
PSBA Board Development, Mrs. Gelman.
Just that we'll be planning a board development in conjunction with PSBA to be scheduled in July, so more to come about that.
Thank you. MLFE, Mrs. Gensel.
Dr. Davis, can you help me out here? We awarded 4 grants this year, and I will get you the specifics on those grants at the next meeting. And we are currently planning a fall fundraiser with the Rotary. Details to come, but we'll hopefully have a nice fundraiser in the fall. That's all.
Municipal Liaison, Mrs. Crable.
Sure. Craig and I weren't able to meet. We're meeting this week due to a schedule change. However, the Main Park Rec Center plan is out, so if anyone would like to take a look at that, you can find that on the website or in your Mount Lebanon magazine. Did you want me to do Parks and Rec since?
Yeah, I was going to say, we didn't add the appointments to the municipal boards, but if you have an update from that, that would be great.
Sure, I do. And then in terms of Parks and Rec, there will be new signage at parks for visibility, as well as our fields. I know a lot of people are really excited about that, because if you come here, you may get lost. So we have that happening. They have also started refurbishing benches on Washington Road and preparing for summer facilities, as well as improvements to the concession stand and new bleachers at Main Park.
Mr. Hoffman, were there any updates from the Civic Engagement Board? I don't want to put you on the spot. You can.
Yes, the Civic Engagement Board met at the municipal building on Wednesday, May 1st. The Civic Engagement Board is this is a new thing this year, and it's a sub-board or committee of the commission that has been developed to help prioritize accomplishing the goals of the comprehensive plan. Members of the Civic Engagement Board completed a survey to begin the process of prioritizing goals. And there are a number of subcommittees within this board, including police engagement, residence academy, community service award, mediations, community survey, and DEI. Each subcommittee will begin meeting to discuss the ways to approach these goals. The municipality reached out to the school board and requested the participation of school board members to join as a non-voting member. Meetings occur monthly, the first Wednesday of the month at the municipal building, and the next meeting will be held Wednesday, June 5th at 6 p.m.
And those are, the board meetings are open to the public as well. Parkway West, Ms. Johnson.
So, no meeting update, but Parkway had a successful graduation ceremony last Wednesday, hosted by South Fayette.
Thank you. Pathfinder School, Mrs. Burdick.
Yes, the 5 school districts that comprise the Pathfinder Board met last week on May 15th. Highlights from that meeting include the administrative budget has been passed by the board and sent along to all of the jointure districts for voting. We have that on our agenda this evening, and we do anticipate it to pass. If you have questions, please let me know. Projects for the summer are on schedule, slightly over budget, and we're working on that. There's a new HVAC system, cement repairs, and a sudden a new roofing need, which they are working on financing. There are personnel updates. The principal of Pathfinder School has accepted a different role, and he will be leaving at the end of this school year. That job posting is available and up on the AIU website. There is also a secretarial job opening on the website, and interviewing is wrapping up for the facilities director at this time.
The SHASDA committee has not met, so I have no report. Oh, their community engagement and Parks and Rec. We're good. We already did those. Got ahead of myself. Excellent. Next on our agenda is comments from residents and taxpayers concerning action items for this meeting who have previously requested to speak. I don't believe anyone previously requested. So then, following that is comments from residents and taxpayers concerning action items for this meeting. Presentations or comments are limited to 3 minutes. Those who wish to speak on any of the action items A through Z that are on this meeting's agenda may approach the podium, state their name and address, and give a 3-minute comment. There will be another opportunity at the end of the meeting for those who wish to comment on other matters. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on an agenda item? Okay. Anyone online? Okay. Moving on, we have new business for board consideration, unfinished business for board consideration or action, which there is none. So moving on, we have new business for board consideration and action. All matters of new business were considered and discussed by the board at the discussion meeting, except as noted by an asterisk. I'll just kind of go around the room. Mrs. Gelman, can you read agenda item A?
I move that it be resolved that the board approves, ratifies, and accepts the following financial reports. Treasurer's report dated April 30th, 2024, list of bills dated April 11th, 2024 through April 30th, 2024, and May 2nd, 2024 through May 15th, 2024, and list of tax refunds for April 2024.
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Next up, would you please read agenda item B, Mrs. Burdick?
I move that it be resolved that the board approves budgetary transfers for May totaling $53,334.72 for utility bills and sewage, pest control, floor mats, shop towels, bus repairs, hand sanitizer, pool water samples, instrument repair, a track meet, Model UN transportation, French language competition, principal membership, referees, Junior Book Awards, National Honor Society, baseball equipment and uniforms, postseason baseball umpires, diplomas, and legal fees.
Second. Okay. Any questions or comments? I did want to note this one had a few additional items from the last meeting. I believe they're related to National Honor Society membership, the postseason baseball umpires, and legal services. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Ms. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye. I will take the next item, which is the 2024-25 final budget adoption, the homestead resolution, the interim assessment resolution, and the tax resolution. I'm going to read a summary of all of the resolutions that will be attached to the budget, and we can do that in one action. I move that it be resolved that the board approves the resolution in the form presented, adopting the general fund budget for 2024-25 school year in the amount of $122,223,423 and establishing a real estate millage rate of 29.3005 mils for the 2024-25 fiscal year, an increase of 1.7105 mils over the 2023-2024 millage rate of 27.59 mils. Further resolved, that the board approves the homestead resolution in the form presented for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Eligible property owners will receive a maximum reduction of $292.14 in real estate tax due to funding by gaming tax funds in the amount of $2,609,646. Further resolved, that the board continues its authorization of interim assessments of any property, improvements, or subjects of taxation which may have been omitted or which may have come into being since the last countywide assessment in the form of resolution presented. Further resolved that the board adopts the resolution in the form presented, continuing the earned income tax at the existing rate of 0.5% of earned income, the real estate transfer tax at the existing rate of 0.5% of the sales price of the real estate, and the local services tax at the existing rate of $5 per covered person. And further resolved that the resolutions described and approved above and the general fund budget will be appended to the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, thank you for taking that journey. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item D, please, Ms. Johnson.
I move that it be resolved that for the purposes of the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget only, the board hereby supersedes the requirements of policy DFAA to the extent that they, A, require a unreserved fund balance of 6% of budgeted expenditures, and B, require the transfer of any amounts in excess of the unreserved fund balance up to 8% of budgeted expenditures to the Capital Project Fund and/or the Post-Employment Benefits Trust Fund. For the purposes of the 2024-2025 fiscal year budget only, the unreserved fund balance will be set at the amount indicated in the annual budget approved by the board. Upon completion of the annual audit of the 2024-2025 fiscal year only, any funds in excess of the unreserved fund balance indicated in the annual budget will be allocated in the board's discretion. Further resolved that for the fiscal 2025-2026 and thereafter, these provisions of policy DFAA shall again be in effect, absent further action by the board.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item E, please, Mrs. Gensel.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves the list of contracts in excess of $100 as required by school code.
Second. Any questions or comments?
I have a question, a clarification, actually. So for the contracts that are for the term 2024, 2025, have these contracts been originally approved for the 23, 24 year and then extended to the 24, 25 year? Or is this brand new?
No, the ones that are listed here are the ones that we've utilized before in the past.
Other questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item F, please, Ms. Gu.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves an agreement with American Fidelity as the district's provider of supplemental insurance benefits for employees for a term beginning July 1st, 2024, in the form presented.
Second.
Questions or comments?
This agreement represents a savings to the district as well. Is that correct, Dr. Freese?
That's correct, $27,000 savings.
Other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item G, please, Mrs. Crable.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves the appointment of the municipal treasurer, Joseph T. Sanko, to be the district real estate tax collector for the upcoming year at a salary of $10,000.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item H, please, Mr. Hoffman.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves the appointment of the real estate tax collector, Joseph T. Sanko, to be the district delinquent tax collector for the 2024 at no remuneration.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item I, please, Mrs. Gelman.
I move that it be resolved that the board exonerates the real estate tax collector from collecting taxes on the list of properties dated May 1st, 2024.
Second. Questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item J, please, Mrs. Burdick.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves the independent audit of the Municipal Real Estate Tax Office for the 2023 calendar year.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item K, please, Ms. Johnson.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves UPMC Work Partners as the provider of district workers' compensation insurance at a cost of $149,915 for the 2024-2025 fiscal year.
Second.
Questions or comments? Just want to say, I think it's 145, just 145,915. Any other questions or comments besides mine? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item L, please, Mr. Wyland.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves bids for supplies and equipment for the upcoming school year.
Second.
Questions or comments?
And once again, we've found ways to cut costs and still supply the supplies that are needed and equipment that's needed, but cutting costs to the district.
Additional questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item M, please, Mrs. Gensel.
Sorry. I move that it be resolved that the board approves the list of personnel changes in the form presented.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item N, please, Ms. Guth.
Absolutely. I move that it be resolved that the board approves an agreement with Harris Solutions for financial software and web portal hosting softwares, web portal document center, nightly export of financial tables, the American Fidelity export and import programs at a cost of $14,190 with the potential additional fees billed to the district for travel expenses of Harris employees providing professional services to the district in the form presented.
Second.
Questions or comments?
This contract represents a new contract for the district. I understand that will increase accuracy in financial reporting for us going forward.
I believe this is, yeah, it's with a current service provider, however. Other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda item O, please, Mrs. Grable.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves, in addition to Harris Solution Services, to include ProSoft Document Center with a one-time licensing fee of $3,500 plus an annual maintenance fee of $770 for services to begin on July 1st, 2024, in the form presented.
Second.
Questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item P, please, Mr. Hoffman.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves an agreement with Final Site to provide the district's content management system website for a 3-year term beginning on July 1st, 2024, at a cost of $21,146 for year one, $23,049 for year two, and $25,123 for year three of the agreement in the form presented.
Second. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Ms. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item Q, please, Mrs. Gelman.
I move that it be resolved that for the purpose of providing appropriate educational programs and services for all district children, the board approves the proposed standardized testing schedule for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Questions or comments? I believe this is another one that changed slightly. One of the tests was removed from the schedule we saw last week. Other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
All right. Agenda item R, please, Mrs. Burdick, and you don't need to read the full list, just the resolution.
I move that it be resolved that in accordance with Section 803 Pennsylvania School Laws, the board approves the list of textbooks for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
All right. Agenda item S, please, Ms. Johnson.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves the comprehensive services agreement with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit for special education services for the 2024-2025 school year in the form presented.
Second. Questions or comments? Can you remind me, there's an asterisk here, and I'm sure it was in our update, but
Yes, this is the comprehensive service agreement for the AIU to provide us with special education services, and we didn't have it prior to the last meeting.
Okay.
But wanted to make sure we included it along with the waterfront learning.
that's right, okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
All right. Agenda item T, please, Mr. Weiland.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves an agreement with the Allegheny Intermediate Unit for its waterfront learning services. Waterfront Learning provides a menu of flexible cyber education program options for the 2024-2025 school year. This agreement establishes what costs the districts would incur if it uses any of the services. Waterfront Learning is used as the course provider for our K through 12 asynchronous program and as a credit recovery option for students.
Second.
Questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
All right, agenda item U, please, Mrs. Gensel.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves an addendum to the AIU Comprehensive Services Agreement for the 2024-2025 school year for the provision of support and assistance to the district in seeking reimbursements under Pennsylvania's School-Based Access Program in the form presented. This addendum establishes the percentage of district reimbursements that are shared with the AIU for provision of this service.
Second.
Questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item V, please. Ms. Guth?
I move that it be resolved that, we're in UV, sorry. That the board approves the school resource officer agreement between the district and the municipality for a 3-year term in the form presented. The district reimburses the municipality for 65% of all costs incurred by the municipality in providing the school resource officer in the estimated amount of $121,012 for fiscal year 2024-2025, $124,491 for fiscal year 2025-2026, and $146,000 for fiscal year 2026-2027, for a 3-year total of $373,649. That's a lot of
Second.
numbers.
Did you second?
Second.
Okay, questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson? Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item W, please, Mrs. Crable?
I move that it be resolved that the board approves the confidential student settlement agreement in the form presented.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item X, please, Mr. Hoffman.
I move that it be resolved that the board authorizes Eva Gelman, Claire Guth, and Anna Maria Johnson to be voting delegates to the annual PSBA Delegate Assembly.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
Agenda item Y, please, Mrs. Gilman.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves high school German teacher Peg Myers and 2 students to travel to Estes Park, Colorado for the Posh Triathlon Competition, German Language STEM Challenges, Physical Fitness Challenges, from October 11th through 13th, 2024. Students will miss 1 day of school, and the Goethe Institute is underwriting the entire cost of the trip.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Mrs. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth?
Aye.
Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
And agenda item Z, please, Mrs. Burdick.
I move that it be resolved that the board approves the high school Odyssey of the Mind team to travel to Ames, Iowa for the Odyssey of the Mind World Tournament from May 21st through 25th, 2024. The 6 students will miss 4 to 5 days of school, depending on travel arrangements, and the students are responsible for the cost of the trip.
Second.
And they leave tomorrow.
Crossed. Questions or comments? This is an add-on agenda item.
That's correct. They were just recently selected.
Yes, and it's coming before the board because of the nature of the long-distance travel.
Good luck to all of you that are attending, even though you may not be watching this, but if you do, good luck.
Yeah, they're probably packing. All right. Roll call, please. Oh, any other questions or comments? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Crable?
Aye.
Mrs. Burdick?
Aye.
Ms. Fleischer?
Aye.
Mrs. Gelman?
Aye.
Mrs. Gensel?
Aye.
Ms. Guth? Mr. Hoffman?
Aye.
Ms. Johnson?
Aye.
Mr. Wyland?
Aye.
I don't know what we would have done if there were any other items. We're now at agenda item 7,
Ms.
which
Fleischer.
is, oh, yes.
We did not vote on the Pathfinder budget.
We did not vote on the Pathfinder budget, item AA. We discussed it last week. Was it on here and I missed it?
It's not on
Okay.
here, and I also missed that. But I do know that we need to vote on that in May.
So the resolution, I'm sure, would have been on the discussion meeting agenda, but not necessarily on the regular meeting agenda. So procedurally, Mr. Peterson, what do we need to
It
do?
was 2 resolutions.
Yeah, but under the school code, we can't add an item unless it was on an agenda at least 24 hours prior to this meeting. So if something needs to be done in May, you still could do a brief Zoom meeting, advertise it, and announce it with just those items.
Okay.
But, yeah, we can't add an item at this point, even though it was on the discussion agenda.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll discuss that previously. I know in the past, it hasn't been ready until June, just because it's for the July 1st, so I don't know if they can wait another month, but if otherwise, we'll be able to advertise and call a special meeting, so we'll chat with them and see what they need. Thank you for letting us know.
I regret I
Mrs.
didn't
Burdick.
notice it sooner and let you know sooner. We could have taken care of that, but I didn't see it.
With such a short list, I don't know how you missed it.
Yeah.
Okay. Need to get back to the right meeting, sorry. I've been traveling around in board docs. It's making me join a meeting now, sorry. Okay. Now we are up to agenda item 7. Questions or comments from residents present and taxpayers. Presentations or comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. We ask those wishing to give comment to come to the podium and state their name and address. Any minors can just state their name and their school, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Gigi Strom. I'm at 33 Wasson Place in Mount Lebanon. My kid goes to the high school, and I'm also the co-president for the next week of the Mount Lebanon Band Builders. And I was asked not to come and speak tonight. I had put out a open letter to the board and to the community of Mount Lebanon, which I have emailed to the general group of you, and also I sent you a copy, even though it was on our website. And I was asked not to come and speak, but I'm not. I don't work for the band director. I was at a meeting. Our last meeting was May 6th of the band builders, and parents are still very concerned about safety and field time for the students. So they've asked me just to come and kind of explain a little bit about why that's so important, because we are confused as to why this is such a difficult issue to resolve, especially considering that it's really mostly about safety. So we're not asking for money. We just want a little bit of support. We want you to understand where we're coming from. A lot of that open letter explains that, and I'm just going to kind of shrink it down for everybody. Okay, so being the most visible student group at Mount Lebanon High School, we definitely provide for the community for every football game, parades, competitions and festivals, we represent the school. We have a pep band that tries to go out and represent as many of the sports as possible. Convocation, senior night, you've all seen the band, and they've worked really, really hard this year. So we want our students to remain part of the best marching band in the region. They've really worked up to it after COVID, and they did a really good job this year. They won first place in their division for our bands of our PIMBA competition for the finals, and we're really proud of them. Our issue is that in order for them to continue this pattern of excellence, we need to keep them safe during practice. And I know that there's a field time issue, and I promise you that if you guys would take a look at this very unassuming light fixture, we might be able to solve some of the field time and the safety issues. So, the rock pile is not available for practice once the sun goes down. There's no lights up there. I mean, there's lights, but we can't use them. Now, last year I had worked really hard with facilities to try and find some suitable lighting solutions so that the band could practice after dark, and maybe even a solution for another team that might be able to use the rock pile after dark. This is what I came up with, and this was rejected. This is based on solar power. You cannot see it at any housing area around the school. You can barely see it above where the parking lot meets on the rock pile before that big dip, and you can't see it anywhere around the school because of the fencing. We paid for these. We're not asking for anyone to pay for them. We are asking for just to look at what this is for what it is. It's a simple solution. It does not infringe on any of the light pollution policies or any cost to school, any electricity.
Ms. Strom, I just want to say the 3 minutes is up, so if you can wrap up the.
Yeah, so really, honestly, to be honest, as a matter of field time, which we've been getting less and less and less of, and the safety of the students walking around in the dark and moving to different parts of the city just to practice seems ridiculous when we have a solution that we would like you guys to consider. And I'm very excited to speak with you more about that next week. But I wanted you to see it in person.
Thank you.
Because, that's all I have to say about lights and safety, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Please state your name and your school or address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is AJ Strom. I live at 33 Wasson Place, and I'm a senior in Mount Lebanon High School. So, I have been a musician in the Mount Lebanon music program since 3rd grade, and I've been in the high school wind ensemble, marching band, jazz, and pep band for the past 4 years. In a musical setting, every instrument has its own unique culture. Everybody with like-sounding instruments has their own traditions and norms that define who they are. The environment that all band students have had for their entire high school career has been that of support and endearment that helps guide underclassmen through their high school transition. Furthermore, it provides upperclassmen a source of support and all members a sense of family and belonging. This presence of multiple diverse and unique cultures is not inherent. It is the culmination of more than 10 years of high-quality education and program building that has been done by Mr. Jason Chaskowicz. As I've been the drum major of the successful marching band this past year, I have observed the cultures outside of my section and learned to appreciate and respect the way that all of them can come together to create a successful band. Not only was our marching band successful, but so was our wind ensemble and concert band. In an average year, band kids will get to experience 2 or more important field trips. One of them is marching band related, and one of them is wind ensemble related. One of them also refines a different skill. For example, marching band, the marching band trip, particularly emphasizes students' ability to hurry up and wait and to deal with any problems they get as they happen. But on the contrary, for wind ensemble related trips, It more focuses on a student's ability to work with other members of another band and to critically analyze each other's performance as a means to improve their own skill. These trips are only possible because of the personal connection that Mr. Cheskwich has to the directors of other high schools in our area. A new director for the high school would not have any of these connections. With the new change in the status of the band director position within the high school, a 50% teacher will not be able to provide a similar experience. I'm not sure what an inexperienced first-year teacher will do to inspire culture and diversity within the band program, considering he or she will not know our norms and abilities. Each high school band class has a different style and nuance, and Mr. Cheskwich teaches differently based on the individual performance of each player to contribute to the success of the band. A new director would not be able to teach such a diverse ensemble so effectively. And even if they could teach one, there is no feasible way that they would be able to cater to everybody's individual sound, having just met them. A band director is not just another teacher, as you can't just open a book and tell students to play notes. A band director is not somebody who can just be planted into a teaching situation and expect to succeed, as there are a multitude of functions that occur to create a successful program, and they do not require any extra expense. A band director needs to co-direct for a time in order to learn how the students most effectively grow and how quickly they adapt to new situations. Please genuinely consider these points, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
My name is Lucy Goulash, and I'm a senior at Mount Lebanon High School. My address is 928 Parkview Drive. I think it's fair to assume everybody in this room has been involved in a group at some point in their lives, or any of your family members or neighbors you see running around. And I think it's fair that we can all relate to the sense of belonging we have and we hold within these groups. I've been playing the flute for 8 years, since 4th grade, and it wasn't until I joined marching band that I truly found my passion within music. There's a saying that's a little cliche that is, home is not a place, but it's the people you surround yourself with. After a difficult start to high school due to unavoidable circumstances I faced at home, I can wholeheartedly back this statement up. For a long time, I really didn't have my act together. I never put effort into anything, and I was digging myself into this continuous hole. It wasn't until Mr. Cheskwich, and he was the first person to ever really truly see my potential and allow me to see the potential I held within myself. He gifted me the opportunity of being flute section leader my senior year, and that was the first time in my life that I had somebody other than my dog at home that relied on me. People relied on me to show up every day, and I showed up not only for the members in the band program, but I showed up for myself. Again, it's cliche, but marching band truly saved my life. I was really nothing without this program, and it became along with so many other students, a safe haven, a place that I could rely on, a place that we all rely on. For the first time in my life, I looked forward to something each day. I truly hated school, no offense to the teachers or anyone, before I was involved in the music program in high school with marching band. I had friends for the first time in my life, and so maybe you can thank the people and the members and my friends for making the program such a safe haven for me, but we must all remember that a program is nothing, absolutely nothing, without a director, an incredible director, to lead all of us, to give all of us courage. He's clearly made all of us have something to fight for. That's why this room is filled up. Our mission statement is to provide the best education possible for each and every student. We cannot have a safe and effective learning environment without a teacher to inspire us, without something to look forward to, and without a sense of belonging. I'm truly asking you to put yourself in our shoes and see that we need to keep our band program a family. Thank you so much for your time, and I really, truly hope you consider.
My name is Eduardo Toledo. I live at 980 Lindendale Drive. I'm in 11th grade and have been part of the high school's wind ensemble for 2 years, the marching band for 3 years, in which I was a section leader this last fall, and part of the jazz band for 1 year. With the changes being made to the position of high school band director, I can't help but feel as if we're compromising our standard of excellence for no good reason. Mr. Jason Cheskwich has been the band director at Mount Lebanon High School for more than 10 years, and throughout those years, he has created a successful band program that has achieved excellence in all forms of play. Our wind ensemble was selected this year to perform at the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association Education Performance in Erie, and our marching band won first place in the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Marching Band Association circuit for our size group during the fall. These are just our recent successes, not to mention the 10-plus years of PMEA performances in the National Convention performance in 2017. This year, we've played so well that we can submit our recordings to the National Festival with a significant chance of getting in, but we will not be able to perform at a national festival if Mr. Cheskwich is not our high school band director. As a player, it is important to have these opportunities, such as the national festival, to grow and learn. The wind ensemble held rehearsals after school every week, leading up to the adjudication performance in preparation for the harder music Mr. Cheskwich handed out to us. Without the urge to learn harder music and create music that speaks on its emotions, myself and the ensemble included would not have developed into better musicians and people. We would not be experiencing such opportunities if Mr. Cheskwich was not the band director at the high school, as a halftime replacement would be incapable of putting in the proper amount of time to the wind ensemble and leading the ensemble to a national festival with the proper knowledge. The commitment students had to buy into ensured the ensemble's success at the adjudication performance. It was an overall fun experience for everyone. The trip allowed students to bond with one another and allowed them to enjoy their collective hobby of creating music. The effects would not only hinder the wind ensemble, but the concert band too. Any other teacher would not be able to teach concert band the elementary fundamentals they need or know how to develop the students into better musicians. In the future, students would be robbed of the opportunities we were given, and the program would deteriorate if Mr. Cheskwich is not at the high school. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good evening. My name is Parker Boyce. I live on Rockhaven Lane. I'm a sophomore currently at Mount Lebanon High School and an active member of the Honors Wind Ensemble, both of the marching band programs for the 2022 and 2023 seasons, and one of the players of the national anthem at most home varsity basketball games. Through my experience, I've witnessed Mr. Cheskwich's vital role in our high school as the director of both the marching and concert bands. The in-class rehearsals for the marching band are crucial and highly productive, as he has allocated a majority of his time to commit to working with all classes on material shared throughout the concert and the marching band. During classes, he allows student leaders to lead sectionals and rehearse music, and most importantly, he provides feedback so that we can improve each and every day. Because of this, we have greatly improved the skills of our marching band, and this has enabled us to participate in competitive marching shows at a high success rate. This is evident through our achievement of becoming the AAA Pennsylvania Interscholastic Marching Band Association champions for the 2023 seasons, among 120-plus music awards won previously. While the different rehearsing classes vary according to their needs, they rehearse the same marching material. So how can we, as a band and a district, sustain the high caliber of our marching band if we disregard Mr. Cheskwich's experience and holistic view while imposing additional cuts? What commitment is the school district able to make to ensure the cohesiveness of our program along with the adequate practice facilities? With these extremely limiting factors, the Blue Devil Marching Band will deteriorate without the proper rehearsals and practice of marching shows during school hours. Because Mr. Cheskwich understands our playing field levels, he can tailor practices accordingly. I believe that the success that we have had is attributed to the work he puts in each and every day, combined with the experience he provides for us. We want to continue the momentum of our marching band and appreciate you addressing our concerns for our future success. Please give these concerns your serious attention. and I greatly appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Sawyer Delahanty. I live at 773 Lebanon Avenue, and I'm currently a senior here at Mount Lebanon High School. I played the trumpet in the wind ensemble and marching band for my entire high school career, along with jazz band for 3 years and pep band for 2 years. In the marching band, I held positions of trumpet section leader and brass captain my junior and senior years, respectively. I understand that with the district's current financial situation, action is needed in an effort to balance the budget. It is logical for activities like the band program to rely less on district funding and more on membership fees and fundraising during this time. These are sacrifices that can happen and with minimal impact on the operation and function of our band program. However, losing Mr. Cheskowicz's presence at the high school is not a sacrifice we should have to make and will have a large impact on the band program. This change is not as straightforward as raising the membership fee, for example. This school year, the band program as a whole exhibited outstanding achievement in the PIMBA circuit for marching band and the PMEA All-State Conference with the wind ensemble. The band is like a team, and after a great season, it is customary to allow the head coach to continue their work, not the contrary. Also, as a team, we need to be able to practice. With the reduction in our field time for next year's season, this is another sacrifice that would inhibit our ability to succeed. We depend on field time to learn our formations and movements for our show, as there is no other space for us to bring together playing the music with learning the formations. We were able to achieve what we did with 6 to 8 hours of field time a week last season. We are now being reduced to 3 hours a week, which is roughly half the hours we had last season. After a season of unparalleled success, why is it fair for us to take such major hits that will disconnect and dismantle the many ensembles that make up the high school band program? With Mr. Cheskowicz taking the position at Mellon, the band program is at a loss despite our admirable work this year. Please reconsider the options given to Mr. Cheskowicz, as losing his presence at the high school is a sacrifice that would inhibit our growth significantly more than becoming autonomous from district funding. Additionally, please give some thought to the changes being made to the field time allotted to the marching band. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Alejandro Waisim Pugliaji, and I live at 682 Country Club Drive. I'm in 10th grade, and so far I've been part of the wind ensemble and the marching band for 2 years playing the trumpet. In the marching band, I served as a trumpet section leader this past season. I was also a member of the jazz band and the pep band. I'm here speaking today because I strongly disagree with the options that have been given to Mr. Jason Cheskowicz concerning his job at this high school, and I'm concerned with the impacts that this will have on the students of the program. While the choice between a half-time position and a full-time position has been given, it is not really much of a choice. His options are not fair, and it is evident that anybody, not just Mr. Cheskowicz, given the same circumstances, would choose a full-time position over the half-time position. This decision would threaten our music education at the high school in many ways. First of all, replacing Mr. Cheskowicz with a part-time band director would cause a complete restart in the program. This would mean that I would only get 2 years of quality music education rather than the 4 that I should get. This incomplete music education would be detrimental to those in the program who are thinking of pursuing a music career in the future. On top of that, the quality of a new part-time band director also comes into question. What can be said about the quality of a teacher who's willing to accept a $28,000 position? That is not enough to make a living, and it is clear that their full focus would not be on the students. On the off chance that an excellent band director is found, the program still resets. The new band director does not know our playing tendencies like Mr. Cheskowicz does, and it will take time for them to adjust before we can actually start getting a music education. Just as it took Mr. Cheskowicz time to adjust when he was being mentored by Miss Marina. Because of this, band program at the high school would essentially become a revolving door. While it is true that Mr. Cheskowicz would promote the program at the middle school, the students, upon learning that there's nothing for them at the high school, will leave the program, which fixes nothing for us. There's no way that any of the bands at the high school can succeed with these changes. Because of this and many other reasons, we are here to propose a possible solution to this abrupt change that has the potential to retain the standard of quality at the high school while upping recruitment in the middle school. We should keep Mr. Cheskowicz at the high school part-time, but also have him at the middle school part-time teaching the 8th graders. This way, his job equates to a full-time position. As for the 6th and 7th graders, we can hire the part-time band director that we were going to originally hire for the high school, and he can teach them. This way, Mr. Cheskowicz can mentor them, just like Ms. Marino did to him, to hopefully prepare them for the future when Mr. Cheskowicz eventually retires or goes back to the high school. With this course of action, the band program is not dismantled completely and is actually given so much more potential for growth and success. Scheduling should also not be an issue, as there are only 2 high school classes and 2 to 3 eighth grade classes, depending on the numbers that year. As for the economic concern, we are spending the same amount of money either way, whether we keep Mr. Cheskowicz at the high school or the middle school. It still equates to 1 full-time position and 1 half-time position. We really appreciate everything that has been done in order to cover the economic deficit, and we understand why decisions are being made about certain positions at the high school. All we ask is for you to consider this as one of your options. Because of these reasons, I present a petition that I have to maintain Mr. Cheskowicz as a high school band director and to add 8th grade to his curriculum. It has 246 signatures, and if you need a copy of this through email, please contact me at avoisin73@mtlstudents.net. Thank you very much for your time.
Good evening, I'm Molly Cubitt from 133 Altadena Drive. I'm from the class of 2023 and I just finished my first year at Duquesne. I started playing alto saxophone in 4th grade, joined the Winter Guard program in 6th grade, was in high school concert band for 2 years, wind ensemble for 2, and was in the color guard for all 4 years of high school, as a section leader my junior year, captain my senior year. And last summer I returned to help the guard at band camp and plan to do that again this summer. And the last straw that finally brought me here was when I heard that Mr. Cheskowicz was going to be transferred to work at Mellon instead of working here and was going to be replaced with a 50% teacher position. And I nearly started crying when I heard that because I knew what it would mean to the program that brought me the light I needed in my life during my schooling. Aside from learning amazing pieces to play indoors, we also practice marching band music during class sometimes, and this heavily attributed to our success on the field because you can't have a great show without great music ability. With a separate concert and marching band director, there's little to no connection between these 2 types of band, and in my opinion, the program will crumble under that teaching model. When Mr. Cheskowicz took over the marching band in 2015, he began a transformation, and our marching band has become a bigger name in the Pittsburgh area as we transformed from an outdated festival band to a modern competition band. After winning the 3A class championships in October last year with the highest historical score for Lebo, the kids solidified in my mind that my band was really becoming what I wanted it to be when I was a part of it. I was so proud of everyone that I used to perform with and can't help but be saddened by the probable future I've already described. The guard was always more important to me. I also highly valued my time playing saxophone, especially in the wind ensemble, and the music Mr. Cheskowicz chose for us to play was always a perfect challenge, but never unattainable. The only reason for the huge success of the wind ensemble is the teaching of Mr. Cheskowicz, and I really don't know what will happen without him, and I can't imagine that a 50% teacher will care as much as he does for the students. And as I said, guard was always more important to me, and after I performed with them for 7 years, I moved to a higher level Pittsburgh-based team that I auditioned for called Top Hats Performance Ensemble. And in my time there, I really discovered how special my team at Lebo was, because we may have fought and argued on occasion, gotten injuries. I've had a couple concussions, sprained a couple fingers and toes. But every time we entered the gym to perform, we'd work together as a team and left our hearts on the floor. When I was a captain last year, I called my teammates my kids because we are a family. After watching my kids this winter performing without me, on the floor with them, I couldn't have been prouder. All those people that I watched since their first day in the program had me with my jaw on the floor. This season, they attended Atlantic Coast Championships and won silver medals with the highest historical score, and they really blew me away with their success this season. I really can't be prouder of them. What breaks my heart, though, is that instead of being praised for their hard work and success in school, they're being pushed out of gym time, and having only an hour and a half or less in the gym each rehearsal is not enough time to put together a cohesive artistic performance, and we often had to start rehearsal in the skywalk, and unfortunately you can't really throw flags in a hallway. But the kids on that team are some of the smartest, most hardworking people I know, and they deserve everything in the world to help them be successful. So many of my closest friends were or are a part of the fine arts programs, and just like me, so many of them have felt the negative effects of discrimination and how we were treated compared to other groups at this school. In just the marching band example, we have been asked to practice on parking lots or in total darkness, which I doubt anyone would ask a sports team to do. Rehearsing in the dark is dangerous, and we need the lines on the field to show us where our drill spots are. And the arts programs are some of the most inclusive groups in the school in my experience, but are some of the most mistreated by administration. And I can only imagine that other fine arts groups have had similar struggles to what the band has experienced. And
I hate to cut you off. I just want to remind you that your time has expired. If you could wrap up.
Yeah, I'm almost done.
Great.
Sorry about that. In my personal experience throughout school, there was always inconsistent praise for students within different programs. And don't get me wrong, I always loved cheering on the football team, especially when my brother was in it. But I thought the amount of support they had in comparison to my program was a little unfair. And in the fall of my senior year, we had an opportunity to perform in a regional competition in Delaware against teams all over the country, and we were approved to miss the football game so we could get rest the night before the performance instead of getting there at 2 a.m. And that caused a huge uproar on Facebook from the community, and we were about to attend our biggest competition, but had almost no support, which was really disheartening. Promise I'm almost done. I know a lot of these current issues are partially because of the financial problems in the district, and as a college student, I understand financial problems. And I know there has been extensive work to improve the budgeting in the district, and I really thank you for working to improve our community. But I, as well as many others, am disappointed how unfairly these struggles are affecting the fine arts, especially the band, and to claim that the school district supports and nourishes the students in the arts, but then to slash our practice time and director's position in the same breath really saddens me. I could go on for hours about the fine arts programs and how they're treated, but in the interest of time, I've kept my thoughts at bay. So board members, I'm begging you to finally address some of the issues I've talked about, and this is not the Mount Lebanon I used to know and love. And I may have moved on to a new stage in my life, but there's still a giant place in my heart for the place where I spent 18 years of my life. And so please listen to the concerns of your taxpayers and, more importantly, all the students, and work with us to create positive change. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lily Cubitt, 133 Altadena Drive. I'm part of the Mount Lebanon graduating class of 2019, making me part of the first class to be fully under Mr. Cheskowicz as both concert and marching band director. From a young age, I would watch the band perform at the Memorial and Pumpkin Patch parades in Uptown and couldn't wait to join the band myself. I'm sure my middle school band director can vouch for this. I bugged her all the time about marching band. I was like, when can I join? What can I do? I was so excited. Little did I know, there was a lot more impact that band gave me that I can only see in retrospect now. My junior and senior year, I had the honor of being the drum major for the marching band. This position specifically set me up for major success, helping me build my confidence, problem-solving skills, and leadership abilities that have helped push me ahead of my peers throughout college and now my career. And I want to share a personal example. Within 8 to 10 months, I think, of starting at American Eagle Outfitters corporate, I was offered a full-time and position as a leadership role. And that's like never seen in the fashion industry. So all the things that I learned in marching band, all my leadership skills really paid off. And everyone sees me as a leader now because of all that chance that I was given in high school. Contrary to popular belief, most of these skills were nurtured in the classroom, not on the field. Having the chance to be in the same building as Mr. Cheskowicz full-time to help make copies of music or pop into his office to get some advice was integral to my success. Moving the band director to another building while also reducing the position at the high school is unwise. Being nurtured inside school and outside by your director leads to better results across the board because students get standardized practice, making them better musicians. In just short of 10 years, the band has improved exponentially due to Mr. Cheskowicz's dedication to teaching consistently and relentlessly to make the band better on and off the field. I watched the band these past years when my sister performed and was astonished at how much they improved even since when I was in the band. That's only 4 years between my sister and I, and it was a completely different world from when I started, and I'm so proud of them for that. For a school district that prides itself on the awards it receives for music education, I would expect the board to invest in the program when it is struggling, not push it to the side. I've heard qualms from instructors for years about the program not getting support and shrinking due to insufficient retention rates in elementary and middle school, yet nothing has been done to help. Why not ask the parents, or better yet, the students, why? Instead, there are reports of members of administration asking people to not speak up, and that is shameful. As the school board, you have a duty to serve the taxpayers and students of this municipality, yet you don't want to listen to when they have suggestions that they think will make our township better. Alternate options should be welcomed and absorbed with enthusiasm. Diversity is a strength, and we better utilize that. Instead of shrinking field time in the band director position, listen to the people impacted. Maybe they have a better solution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for this opportunity. Ryan Werzen, 105 Ellerton Drive. I'm a band dad. I'm a wind ensemble dad. I'm a concert band dad. I'm a marching band dad. I'm a pep band dad. And I'm a jazz band dad. I don't live here for the large, flat backyards. I don't live here for new construction, for spacious closets, for 3-car garages, because I don't have those things. I don't need to tell you. I live here so that my kids can learn here. And to be blessed, lucky kids who get to come to this building every day. This is a place where academics, athletics, and the arts have always come together and flourished. And my family and friends who visit from other parts of the country who come here are always impressed about the depth and breadth of the programs that are offered here. I'm pretty sure if you were to ask my mom and dad about me and what they're most proud of, they would say it's because I settled here and sent my kids to this school. And that's what disappoints me about the difficulties that we're facing with the band program. I get it. I'm an analytics professional. I'm a numbers guy. There are only so many dollars, only so much land, and only so many hours of daylight. But it's disappointing. I don't have all the data on this, but I'm pretty sure that these are among the best kids that you have. They'll be among the alumni that we're most proud of after they're gone. They're not troublemakers. They're not complainers, at least not till today. They're not your squeaky wheel. So let me be a squeaky wheel for them. To learn music and the arts and to share it with others is one of humanity's greatest achievements. And America's export of the arts to other nations is a big part of what has made us the greatest country in the world, and its only cultural superpower. Imagine football games without the band performing. Imagine graduation. Man, I wish this was taller. Imagine graduation without the band participating. Imagine a silent parade on Washington Road on Memorial Day without their music. Please don't take these kids for granted. Please support their modest needs, especially the ones that don't require a single penny of expense. And further, I'll just mention that there is not a single employee in this district who has done more for my son's growth and development than Mr. Jason Cheskowich. Again, these kids in this school and its wonderful offerings, they're why I'm here. And it's what drives my motivation to go home where it's 82 degrees in my bedroom, even though I've been running the air conditioning all day. Thanks again for your time and service to our community.
I'm Robert Kennedy. I'm a sophomore, and I'm in the Mount Lebanon High School marching band and wind ensemble. So, at the beginning of my freshman year, I dropped my instrument, made a really big dent in the front. I had to nervously walk up to my section leader and tell him that I messed up the instrument, and he took me to see Mr. Cheskowich. Now, that was my first time really getting to talk to Mr. Cheskowich, and he told me he would email me and my parents when I got home that like the directions to the music store, and he went through on that. Now, even my mom noticed this a few months back. She said that Mr. Cheskowich, you see him everywhere when it comes to this program. You see him at everything, right? He is one of the most dedicated teachers in the school. He's the hardest worker I've ever seen, I think. And I think I can speak for the whole marching band when I say that he is more like a family member. He's someone that we've gotten to know, and he's someone that's helped the development of our education and this group. No, this band has blossomed into something much more than just a marching band. I've gotten to see my peers completely excel, graduate, and I have 2 more years to go, and I honestly don't know what I'd do without Mr. Cheskowich. He dedicates, this program is his life's work, and I think he really does deserve the place at the school, because he's honestly, like, I have had a lot of teachers, but spending like 8 hours a day during the summer, just like all day, every day, in the blazing heat. It really I've gotten to know him. I can call him a friend even if he's really a superior, I guess. Yeah, and the band would not be where it is today without his dedication. So I ask you, please consider what the students are saying. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Batts, 265 Jonquil Place. I am a junior, and I'm in the drum line. Well, as everyone's touched on, marching band is a family and a diverse one at that. We all have different ideals, different identities, different personalities, but as soon as we step on that field, we're all friends and we want to make music together. Mr. Cheskowich helps us make that happen. Even as seeing him in the hall, I'll sit in study hall at the computer. He looks at me and he smiles, and it's like my day is already brightened. He puts so many hours into this. We put so many hours into this. It'd be a shame if we wash it all away. Last year, unfortunately, we had to rely on car lights, peering through the fence to light our fields, and I couldn't see because of the glare in my glasses. And when I'm playing a metal instrument, if I'm bumping into people that are taller than me, it goes right into my ribs. So. Additionally, on the parking, my shoes got all worn out practicing on the parking lots because of our specific roll steps. So that was unfortunate because it comes to another cost to my family. The marching band is really a place for a haven for all of us, as Lucy said. We can all go there, enjoy the same things together, be with the same people, and play the instruments we love without facing the scrutiny of being teenagers in a world where a lot of the weight is on our shoulders. It's really unfortunate because at this time in our lives, it seems like everything's against us, and we're always faced with tests or what's gonna happen tomorrow, who's gonna play with me at lunch, who's not, what tray's gonna be spilled, what fight's gonna go on. But as soon as we step outside and we see all our friends, like I can smile at all these people and they smile back at me. It's so nice. And it's just, even being here at 9:22, I could be watching the Vancouver Oilers game, but we all came out here and we wanted to support each other. And I'll leave you with this. I play ice hockey, and before every game, what my coach tells me is to play for the logo on the front and not the name on the back. Marching band and all of the fine arts are one of the only activities in the whole school where we don't have a name on our back. And we play for it. And our crest, that beautiful crest that's sitting right behind you, sits right here on our hearts because marching band has a special place in each and every one of our hearts. We play for the community, we play for our friends, we play for our families, and most importantly, we play for each other. So if you take that away, if you take our friendship and Mr. Cheskowich away, what is there left? We will all have to find something new, and it's not as fun when you're without your friends. I wouldn't be up here if these guys weren't all right behind me supporting me. So thank you very much for your time. I hope whatever decision you come to, it's a good one. I'm sure it will be. I'm sure you'll take a lot of thought into it. And I'll leave you with this as my one proposal for what could happen with Mr. Cheskowich is you bring in a teacher that he could help work with as a mentor role. You have him come out to the band camps, come out to the rehearsals. He'll guide him, Mr. Cheskowich. He'll learn all of our personalities. He'll learn who we are as individuals. And then maybe he steps aside and gives the program on to the next person, helps it flourish. But it doesn't have to be such a drastic change because realistically, we have 4 years for a reason. This is my junior year, I have next year, but I don't want to wash away everybody else's opportunities and have these great 4 years because I see the people behind me, people that stand next to me. We all have a bright future, and that future is in the Mount Lebanon Marching Band.
Good evening, I'm Devin Williams. I live on 240 Morrison Drive, and I just wanted to come up here and talk about my experience with the Mount Lebanon Marching Band and how that's personally affected me. I'm a guy who struggles with the autism spectrum disorder. It has affected my development since I was a little kid. And growing up, it was very difficult to learn how to socially navigate the world. So joining band has just done so much for me in terms of getting to know people, not just from Mount Lebanon, from from the community, like from the community of the marching arts. Like I remember being a freshman at the competitions, being so excited to go meet a bunch of people from all the other marching bands. And I just want to say that none of that has been possible without the contribution of Mr. Jason Cheskowich to this marching band program. And it just hurts a lot of people that Mr. Cheskowich is going to be Mr. Cheskowich is going to be sent to middle school. It's fine, it's fine. Just this band is just a big family for me, and it's like I could not be where I am in terms of like navigating high school and getting ready to go to college and make that next step in my life if it wasn't for Mr. Cheskowich and his amazing band program. And he gave me the recognition of allowing me to contribute to the social media for the Mount Lebanon band, and that has helped me in my passions for digital design and sports communications, which I'm really considering pursuing a career in. This band is truly a family, and a lot of people can back me up here when we really mean this. It doesn't matter if it's wind ensemble or concert band or marching band, it all blends in together perfectly, and it's done under the leadership of Mr. Cheskowich. So I please just ask you to listen to your taxpayers and listen to your community members. Like this hurts a lot of people, and the contributions of Mr. Cheskowich to this community, to marching arts as a whole, like it can't be replaced by a part-time director. It just cannot. So I just want to state it there to cut it short. But thank you.
Hello, I'm Josh Tellerico, 109 Ridgeway Court. As you can tell, I was not planning on talking at this meeting. I wasn't even planning on showing up to like the last minute. But all these wonderful people behind me have inspired me to come up here and talk to you guys. So, freshman year, I absolutely hated marching band, despised that crap. And yeah, I just did not show up at all. I just did not like it at one bit. And yeah. And so that was over the summer, going into freshman year. So I did concert band that year, freshman year. And so I got to talk with Mr. Cheskowich a lot. And, you know, I didn't even know how to read music at that point. Mr. Cheskowich had so much patience in me. He like helped me learn anything I knew with music. Like the amount of like time and dedication he puts into each and every one of his students is absolutely amazing, in my opinion. And like last year, my sophomore year, I'm a junior right now, last year, my sophomore year, every day, every lunch, every study hall, whenever I had time, I would go to him, I would ask him for help with my music, I would ask for keys to the practice room, he would just give me whatever I needed, any resource I needed, he would just always be there for me. And so this past year, he gave me the opportunity to be the bass drum section leader in the marching band. I joined again this past year, and I absolutely loved it. I knew what I was doing. I had the support behind me with Mr. Cheskowich, and you know, it just really stings what's happening, and it just makes no sense about why anyone would even think about doing this when you have such an amazing director that's been supporting us for so many years and has done nothing wrong. It just showed us so much love and support, and it's just so infuriating. So, yeah, just, you know, listen to what we have to say. That'd be pretty cool, not gonna lie. And yeah, thank you for listening to my little ramble.
So, hi, my name is Zyra Dinkins, and I live at 740 Florida Avenue. I came here today to express the importance of the marching band program, especially as a part of the under 2% of Black students at our school. So, to keep this brief, I've been a member of the marching band for the past 4 years, serving as a color guard co-captain for the past 2 years. You may also recognize me for my leadership roles in various social justice organizations and clubs at school. Additionally, I was just here a month or so ago, with the DEI group presenting our progress. I can 100% say that I would not have progressed as far as I have as a leader without the marching band. My journey with the marching band began as a freshman entering high school with extreme anxiety and facing challenges at home. I can honestly say this activity changed the trajectory of my life. Going to a predominantly white institution as a minority, I often felt isolated and struggled with confidence. Despite my initial apprehension, the color guard welcomed me with open arms. There's an unparalleled inspiration from being around like-minded people and belonging. Their acceptance was the very thing I needed to broaden my horizons. The marching band taught me that it's okay to make mistakes as long as I pick right up again, and now resilience is my largest tool. Additionally, the color guard has taught me the essence of leadership and the importance of family. However, I can say this has been a journey of ups and downs. By limiting our hours in the gym or on the field, the administration is showing a lack of investment in the importance of our activity, and I highly doubt this occurs in other spaces. This fall, I'll be pursuing my degree and participating in the color guard at Spelman College. Even before arriving on campus, I learned that the marching band at Spelman is also overlooked. I am all too familiar with the feelings of being both undervalued and overlooked. My earnest hope was that in this new space where I'm meant to feel free and valued, that I would not have to continue this fight. I keep asking myself, when did this cycle end? Where do we truly belong? And I hope that this cycle can stop here. The marching band has been one of the most impactful and inclusive spaces for me as a minority, and I truly believe we can work together as a community to make a positive change, and that you will continue your support to keep this organization alive. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jason Miller. I figure since I called so much attention to myself by forgetting that I had an alarm set, I would talk to you. I am a professional musician. I have 2 boys. I recently moved to this district 2 years ago. I have been working in this district, not as an employee, but with the percussion program. I'm a tutor, and I work with the percussion ensembles. And it is, as many of you know, an excellent, excellent group. I consequently have had much contact with the band. As a matter of fact, until 2014, I had an EDR position with the drumline. I was the drumline caption head. I have worked all my life as a professional musician and an educator. I started in Texas, and I've worked in something in the neighborhood of 7 school districts. At one point, I think I was in 4 at the same time. I've worked with many marching band programs, many band programs. We just moved here because we like the offerings of this school district. And as a professional musician, I would like to predicate everything that comes next on this one comment. Music and the arts are a core class. They're not an activity. It is a massive industry. California, it is the biggest industry in California. It is a way of life for millions of people. To treat it as anything other than that is a mistake. I have seen school districts do what is proposed today, and it failed. I worked in Trinity. They fired their band director, because if you've ever seen Seinfeld, the episode where George is trying to get fired by the Yankees, and he's dragging around the World Series thing on the back of his car, doing donuts in the parking lot, yelling, the Steinbrenner sucks. He basically was doing that. Shortly after that, while they were searching, the choir director died. So they elected to take the choir director from the middle school, bring them to the high school, and have them do band and choir. It decimated the program. Your proposal was great, but I got a better one. Don't have a part-time director. This is a huge school district. I understand that the numbers are down. 68 people or something like that enrolled in band. That's irrelevant because it's not a one-to-one relationship. If you have 68 people, if you suddenly change it to 126 people, okay, I can't do math. See, math is my nemesis. But the 136 people, it doesn't suddenly double the amount of work that needs to be done. It is a mistake. Hire a full-time band director to replace Miss Marino, who is awesome, by the way. I'm not here to advocate for Jason Cheskowich. I know him well. I know Dr. Davies. I know you. You actually came to my house when you were running. Don't think of it as advocating for Jason Cheskowich. I understand all you kids love him. He's great. But This is for them and my boys who are sitting right there. This is a mistake. Save the money somewhere else. What does a new band director cost? $60,000 a year? So what, another $32,000? I've never been to a meeting like this before in my life. But what I have seen is something about 12 million in the fund. Make it 12 million and 30,000 less. And have a full-time band director in both schools. It is a huge, colossal mistake. It will hurt. It cannot possibly work if you think that hiring a part-time band director will then allow the program to grow. That's not the result. It'll probably make it smaller. And that's all I have time to say, and I appreciate all you guys do. But this scares me.
Hi, my name is Jenna Moini. I apologize for my composure. I was not planning on speaking at this meeting. It was actually kind of last minute. I felt it was important to speak because I'm a junior at Mount Lebanon High School. My address is 9 Craig Court. I actually recently just moved here from California, as mentioned by Jason. But marching band has been something that has been a part of me since as little as 7th grade. I really didn't grow up with a lot of friends. Having to move so suddenly in the middle of the semester has really left me with what I thought would be a big hole. My mom gave me the option of choosing a school that I would go to in Pittsburgh, and I chose Mount Lebanon simply because of this music program. And Mr. Cheskowicz gave me the opportunity, knowing that I was in wind ensemble and concert band my whole life, that I would be capable of working with the students, and his kindness has shown me that I can fit in anywhere as long as music is with me. And meeting Mr. Cheskowicz and having him already mentor me through these 2 months of me just simply being here, I can't imagine this marching program without him, just getting to know him. And I just really appreciate you guys hearing us out. And I can't imagine him being here part-time or not at all, or being in 2 places at once. Just seeing him speak about it with our wind ensemble almost every morning. Sometimes he'll joke about it, but I see the sadness in his eyes. He knows what will happen. And I just urge you to just think about what will happen to all these kids who speak so highly of him. And just already being here, already seeing what's happening. He's already given me a home in the marching band program or in the wind ensemble program. I've already found so many kind people and so many friends. And when I thought that my world is turned upside down in the middle of junior year, I felt like a freshman. I felt so small, but I already see a future here just because of Mr. Cheskowicz. So thank you for your time.
I just want to say we're going to take comments until 10 p.m. So just want to put that out there so it's not a surprise at the time.
My name is Justin Williams, and I live on 240 Morrison Drive. And I'm here to talk about what everyone else has been talking about with the loss of Mr. Cheskowicz. And when I was an underclassman, I really did not really see the value. And then as time went on and I've got to meet great people, it's become like a family to me. And that the love of Mr. Cheskowicz and his passion for music, that's gone. Everything's gone. And I think you're making a mistake. Even with the loss of lights, we were still having fun. I mean, we were still having fun every single day, regardless. And yeah, these are like my family. I mean, like, yeah, I would not. It's not much to cover, but yeah.
state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name's Tim Leenertz. I live at 492. Where do I live, honey? Thank you. I'm so smart. 492 Haverhill Road. I guess I'm not feeling as polite as all these nice people. This is pretty much a done deal. And when you say, well, 20 minutes more for comments when all these people are waiting to speak, it speaks to one of my biggest concerns, which is where was the dialogue in the first place about all this? Where was the planning? You have people bringing you solutions and that are valuable and some of them revenue neutral. And yet, this is a done deal pretty much. I debated whether to come here at all because it is a done deal. You've already passed the budget. But there are some things that scare me a little bit, even beyond the band program here, which is very important to me and to my son who's coming into the 9th grade. This is an elite school system. That's a rare thing. You just celebrated a whole bunch of teachers that have been here and people that do all kinds of jobs that aren't even teaching, that have been here for 20 and 30 years. I can assure you that no halftime band director, especially if they are good at their job, is going to be in that halftime position for 30 years. That's not going to happen. They have this minor desire to feed their kids. I mean, it's just, it's short-sighted, the lack of vision, the lack of contact in the community and trying to get some dialogue about how to do these things. The process, you know, if it's this, what'll it be next year or 2 years from now? Schools are always short on money. I mean, I've been a teacher for, well, I started teaching in 1999. I've been a teacher that long, and I can tell you that there never was the year where the principal walked in and said, hey man, we're flushing cash, what do you want? That never happens. So what I have learned is that you fund what you value. You fund what you value. You say things, you know, in this district about being elite and the best and, you know, #1 in the history of the world and blah, blah, blah. I'm exaggerating, of course. But if you want an elite school system, you gotta find a way to pay for it. Because the school system down the street thinks they're elite too, and they may or may not be. The school district that isn't elite is trying to get more elite, and cutting FTE is never a way to improving a program. If you wanted to improve your math program, you would not cut math FTE. It's counterintuitive. And that's why all these people here know in band. I'm staring at people that have much more education than I do and are very, very accomplished. But about this, you are not the experts and you don't know. They do. They are so much more acquainted with what's going on. Please listen to them.
Hi, my name is Kristen Meyer. I live at 492 Haverhill Road. I am a former marching band participant, very proudly so, earned my letter that way. I'm also a Mellon band mom and a future Mount Lebanon High School band mom. We moved here in Colorado in 2017, and before we came here, we were living in a kind of a weekly hotel in Cranberry and commuting. I was commuting down for my job. So during that time, we were doing a lot of research as far as where we wanted to land and where we wanted our son to go to school. And one of the school districts that really stood out to us was Mount Lebanon. And we had our choice. We could have moved anywhere, but we chose to move here and put our son in Mount Lebanon schools. Everyone that I've spoken to in my workplaces, in the neighborhood, say, oh yes, your son is going to get an excellent education. Even parents who have their kids in private schools, they still agree that Mount Lebanon High School and Mount Lebanon School District is an excellent place to get an education. That's why I was very distressed to hear about the band FTE being reduced from 2 to 1.5 between the high school and Mellon. And also the lack of support regarding practice times for all the bands, and the marching band in particular. So I believe I understand the reason why the board is taking this step and how they feel it will turn out okay. I'm a little skeptical of that. And mostly because I've attended Mellon band concerts, and that sixth grade band is huge. They take up the whole stage. Okay, it's not a problem with recruitment. It is a problem brought on by the pandemic and the fact that kids had to do their band classes over Zoom meetings. Highly not engaging and not something that encouraged kids to stick with it. Also, I'm also skeptical of the fact that, we'll bring the high school FTE back up to a full FTE when the band program is stronger. I have a spouse who is a music teacher, a band teacher, and every school that he's ever taught in, that has never happened. Once it's compacted down, it stays that way. So I'm asking you to please reconsider. We attended the musical recently, Meet Me in St. Louis. A lot of fun, great music, the band was playing. Will things like that still be possible? Will the breadth and depth of what these students are getting still be possible with a half-time only teacher here at the high school? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jose Voisin. I live in 682 Country Club Drive. I am a band dad, maybe not as good as my friend over there, but yeah, I am a band dad, and I am new to Pittsburgh. We're new to Pittsburgh. We arrived 4 years ago, and I have to say I never seen these kids so worried in the time I've been here, and I understand why we are making. I really, as a taxpayer, I appreciate the transparency and how you manage and take care of the tax funds. But I also manage a budget in my work. I work in corporate. I manage staff. And then the only thing I can say is that when there is a talent, we figure out. We never let a talent go, or we never cut a good person to half time, or we never make changes that the employees don't want to have, right? So I also, and for me, I second the comments about that we are in an elite school. The reason we chose Mount Lebanon is because of the education. And for me, it's a bit shocking to learn that, okay, the kids, they lose lights or when they do practice in the field. I learned that today, and then for me, it's really shocking, right, in this kind of a school. So let's listen. Right, so listen to the taxpayers, and I like the solution I heard from the kids. I also second the solution my friend over here proposed, because I also learned today that our tax will increase, but we are paying these taxes to get this quality of education. So I particularly don't have a problem with that. I will have a problem, and many parents will have a problem, is the quality of the education gets compromised. There we will have a problem then, because we will struggle to justify the tax we're paying if we don't get the quality we expect, right? So thank you so much, and I hope you consider all what the kids and the parents and the taxpayers are telling you. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Catrielle Nicholson, and I'm a freshman. I live on 1314 Washington Road. And I'd just like to say that I started playing an instrument in 3rd grade, and when I moved to the baritone in 4th grade, I heard nonstop about how the high school program is amazing and like how everything there is just so elite. And I mean, the middle school was great, but like the high school, you just got so many more opportunities, like in general. And I was so excited. In my COVID year, 6th grade, made me lose a little bit of light doing my instrument. I had to play it online, and sometimes I just wouldn't even do it. Like, I just didn't want to. But I got to 7th grade, and I pushed through 8th grade. But the moment I stepped foot into the band room this year, I was excited to play. Like, I genuinely have fun playing with Mr. Cheskowich. It's like so fun. And the work I put in, I might complain about it, but every competition, I'm smiling. There's not a frown in sight. I might be cold, but it's all worth it for the AAA championship that we get. Like, it's just amazing. And you'll hear my mom and my dad saying, "You're still at practice, it's 10 p.m." But they'll always be there to see what I've been putting in. And it's like, if I lose my teacher, what was the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no point in putting in these constant hours. Like, we wouldn't be here till 10 o'clock if he wasn't like, I don't know, like, wow. Like, we wouldn't be here if he wasn't special. Like, I just think Miss Moreno, like, retiring, I love that for her. At least she's not being kicked out, but he's getting kicked out. Why does he have to demote himself just to live a better life? This is ridiculous. Like, I know about having to silence yourself just so you don't get called out, but there's no reason to silence him. He's doing great. Look at all these faces. I can name every person in here because of Mr. Cheskowicz. Every single person. That's ridiculous. I don't know that many people, but I know them because of him. I know alumni because of the program that I'm in, and it's just crazy to me that you're willing to kick him out and to give away our field time, and we can't even have lights and the gym time because I don't even know why. Like, I can't think of a good reason why we're doing this. It's just like, I don't understand. And if there's a genuinely good reason besides the fact that we have money problems, I'd love to hear it, but I haven't heard one. So I don't think there's a good reason to put Mr. Cheskowicz down in the middle school because there's like, oh my gosh, like, he's just doing such a great job, and like he talks about the students all the time. Like, I see his glistening man bun in the hallway every day, and I say hi. Like, and everyone here knows what I'm talking about. Like, this is just crazy to lose a teacher, and even if only for 1 year of knowing him, this is such an impact. I'm crying. It's crazy. I'm crying because he's leaving. It's like, what are we really doing here? Like, if we're gonna pride ourselves on something, why are we demoting it? That's not pride. I don't even know what that is. Like, it's ridiculous to me. And it's like, what's really, I want to know what's really going on so that we can fix the problem instead of creating a bigger one by not having a program. That's all.
Hello? Hello? Okay, I think it works. My name's Jack Werzen. I live at 105 Ellerton Drive. I didn't plan on speaking, but this might be short, but when I was going into high school, I didn't really have like a team or a group. I wasn't involved in any sports. So when I went to the Mount Lebanon marching band, and I found that I can be like a very important, vital part of that program, it changed everything. I felt like I'm very like necessary in this program. There's a spot on the field for me and me only. And I feel like with the less field time and with removing Jason Cheskowicz from his spot, I feel like we're removing that from younger people, from like freshmen, and I feel like taking what I was able to gain away, it just doesn't make any sense. It's building like new relationships between people. It's building music majors, people who are picking up a job and going to college, which is kind of the goal of the high school, to get to college. People who are going to college for music. And I feel like it just doesn't make any sense to take away all that for, I don't know, budgets. I just think you just need to reconsider just what you're doing here, because this program means a lot to a lot of people. I feel like it just means a lot to a lot of people. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Good evening. My name is Chris Shaw. I live in Beverly Heights. I'm speaking tonight as a tax-paying resident of Mount Lebanon, not as a representative of any group or organization. I've come to the regular meetings and the discussion sessions for the past few months. I know during the budget process, two of the main goals were to have a minimal impact on the student experience in and out of the classroom, and also to maintain a world-class public education institution. Those were two of the guiding principles that I heard over and over the past few months. Despite seeing last week I saw on a teacher recruitment website a posting for a 50% high school band director or band teacher, I believe, at Mount Lebanon, I think that the board should reconsider what the plan is, because the first goal of the minimal impact, I think this shows you that the decision is not going to have a minimal impact on the student experience here at Mount Lebanon. And secondly, in terms of maintaining a world-class public education institution, I'll defer to this man, Mr. Miller, who said that it's, to paraphrase, it's not about the people, but it's about having a full-time staff supporting the arts. Thank you very much.
Sarah Tallarico, 109 Ridgeway Court. I'm band mom today, but also a district employee for many, many years. I've sent you 2 letters with a plan. There are creative solutions to this, so I won't waste your time. Just 2 things. I want to commend all these young people for speaking so well. I knew that they would have to come, unfortunately, to plea for their program. And number 2, I've sat and watched a lot of board meetings over the years and listened to lots of comments past 10 p.m. So I would ask you to listen to every single comment that these children have tonight. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Florence Cabral. I live at 878 Bridgewater Drive. I was not planning on speaking. I'm very anxious right now, but I would like to, in hopes of like helping out, I'm not familiar with budget cuts. I'm not familiar with what the administration does, so I would like to share my experience. I know this discussion has been like oversaturated with the same topics, but I do hope that like my experience will show you like the value of the marching band. I've always been a quitter. I quit violin, I quit choir. I haven't really been in any clubs until this year. My brother has been in marching band all 4 years of his time at high school. And I first joined color guard. I don't know why. I think peer pressure, I don't know. Trying to make myself look good in the eyes of my mother, saying like, oh, I'll do it so I can, I don't know. I never expected to like it as much as I do. I've never felt a passion for something like I do for color guard and for marching band. The people that I've met, the things that I do, every single month ever since I've joined color guard, I've been taking muscle photos, showing my progress. I felt more confident in myself in terms of social skills, physical abilities. I've spent so much time in just 1 year dedicating myself to this program, and I've missed out on so much. Right now, my cousin invited me to her jazz band concert, and she told me recently that she's decided to do marching band because I invited her to our marching band performance here at the high school. She was inspired by what we've done, and she wanted to see that. I've missed out on so many of like my family things, baby showers, weddings, birthday parties, my grandparents' anniversary, just so I can dedicate my time to this program because I see the value in it, and I really appreciate what it's done for me and what it's done for everyone else. So I understand how we might seem stubborn, how we might seem like we're complaining or like we're trying to stand up against you all, but we really appreciate all your time, all your effort, but we would love if you could consider our concerns. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Green. I live at 121 Dillon Drive, and I'm a freshman at high school. I've done winter guard for 3 years and marching band for 2 years as a part of the guard. And I'm also a celloist and percussionist, so I know how important music is to everyone. I see my friends constantly work hard. They stay after school really late, and I always joke about how I basically live here because of how much time I've spent. So please consider giving us more time on the field, because practicing off to the side and like in parking lots is not enough time. And as part of the guard, I know it's not enough time. Well, it's not enough to be practicing at C20, which is where we practice the patio. And like, we've had some challenging pass-throughs, and not having field time doesn't allow us to work through those and make it safe. If we didn't have field time, we would just have a boring show of just people playing. So please consider, and also consider how much time and effort our coaches and students have put into these programs. I know personally, my coaches, they come from work and then they come to practice and they always show up. They're always there for us. They're everything. And they work very hard. Some of them are still in college. They're in other color guard programs, and I know that our guard is very important to them as well. Also, for the students, for the guard, we fundraise, and I know that the marching band could fundraise with budget cuts, and I think that is very much an option. We fundraise like everything. The school district gives us nothing besides buses for color guard, winter guard. So it's not money, it's just time. You need to give us time to work, and we've been improving every single year. Also, I would like to say that how color guard has helped me. I used to be bullied and not have many friends before I joined, and color guard gave me a sense of community and just like teamworkship. And I know it's helped many others through it. So thank you for your time.
Are there any other students in the room that wanted to offer comment? I did want to I said we would end at 10, but if there were students who came out and wanted to give comment, I wanted to respect that. Okay, then you'll have the final comment.
My name is Jeanette Miller. I live at 80 Roycroft. As my husband said, we moved here a couple of years ago strictly for the music program. He's taught in this district for 20-plus years. And my experience with the students and with the families of the music programs, the percussion program, the marching band program, the jazz ensemble, I just heard is phenomenal. These kids are the best kids in the community, and they deserve the best place to practice. They deserve field time. They deserve a full-time director to help them to shape their program that's grown by leaps and bounds over the last few years. I don't know if any of you saw their show this year, but it was breathtaking, and it was beautiful, and I was so proud of these kids that worked so hard, and of Mr. Cheskowich for choosing such a beautiful program. If you guys haven't seen it, I really would urge you to try to take a look. They're phenomenal kids, and they deserve everything that we can possibly give them, every bit of help we can possibly give them. Thank you.
I want to thank all the community members, especially the students who came out and spoke with us tonight, sharing your experiences and your passion for your music and your art and your admiration for your band director. I want to assure you that the board up here hears you and supports you. We support music and the arts in our district. As Dr. Freese shared with the band builders earlier this year, the change in the band director position at the high school wasn't even part of our budget deliberations this year. It was just part of our regular annual staffing process that we do every year after students do their course selection. And we do make staffing based on student enrollment at the high school and the middle schools. And though Mr. Cheskowich will be teaching at the middle school, he'll remain on as the marching band director. The budget for fine arts and the band was not cut, and the curriculum and programs were not changed as a part of this year's budget. While we hear the concern of adjusting to a new band director, I want to say that I have every confidence that just as our district once brought on Mr. Cheskowitz as a new teacher and hired Mr. Cook and Mrs. Marino, who were both honored here earlier tonight, that we will bring on another equally excellent music educator as the high school band director, and look forward to continuing to grow and support the band at all levels, K through 12, 4 through 12, I suppose. We will certainly consider all the feedback we heard tonight and the lived experience that was shared with us. and continue to work collaboratively with the band program, with its educators, with its parent volunteers, and with its students in our goal for continuous improvement moving forward. In particular, I know that we are continuing to work to consider the non-budgetary requests that were made and what we can do within the realm of time and physical space possibility to support those wherever we can. So thank you. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm an orchestra mom, I guess, so I'm not as cool. Yeah, sorry, okay. Dr. Freeze corrected me that the band director is not changing. It's just that the high school band teacher is changing. And will continue to be responsive as we have been to student need and enrollment. Can you approach the podium and state your name and school? And
Hi, my name is Kate Warren. I am a Mount Lebanon student. I'm a junior, and my address is 241 Orchard Drive. So from what you're saying, you're telling us that it's a done deal, basically, that you haven't heard all of the comments and all of the things that we've shared about everything that we've gone through. Because from what I got out of this, it's very set in stone that nothing is going to change. And yes, maybe a band director could reach the slightest bit of change that we will grow as a program, but Mr. Cheskowicz is like the best person out there. And from hearing you just kind of shut it down, from what I understand and what I feel, it's really hard to hear without, and just sit there without sharing. So I would like to ask that, is this like a done deal? Like, is this not going to change?
I will say that the board did vote tonight on a personnel report that included the reassignment of Mr. Cheskowicz to the high school as a full-time band teacher there.
Okay, thank you.
Mellon Middle School, sorry, thank you. All right. I'd like to announce upcoming public meetings, June 10th, 2024 at 7:30 PM. The board discussion meeting here in room D205, and June 17th, 2024 at 7:30 PM, the board regular meeting here in D205. I'd also like to announce that the board met in executive session earlier tonight for the purpose of negotiations and the superintendent evaluation. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right.